neighborhood boy is kidnapped. I take advantage of my mind-melding powers to locate him. He is several states away and being disguised as a girl. About 3 or 4 months ago, an 8-year-old boy, Howard Barnes, and his live-in babysitter/nanny disappeared. I did not know them but did feel bad about it. In about 2 weeks it was all but forgotten about on the news. Who cares about some nobody kid in some small town, was the general attitude of the public these days. I do, but what can I do? I can meld minds with other people and just go along for the ride, or I can control them either a little or completely, but I have only done it to people I know. Just for the record, no one knows I can do this. Can you imagine what the government would do to me if they ever found out? I would be locked up in Stone Mountain and become an unwilling spy, not the kind of life I am looking forward to. There was a small item on the news last night which got me thinking. Maybe there is something I could do. I never tried it before, but maybe, just maybe, I could meld with someone I didn't know. It was worth a try. I went to my room to concentrate. I got a mental picture of Howard and did what I usually do when I want to meld with someone, and guess what, it worked. I immediately found myself in his body and, as usual, knew everything he knew, and I did not like what I learned, which was not really a lot. First, I learned that he might be suffering from some sort of amnesia. He knew he used to be a boy named Howard, but now he was a girl named Carol, and he was living with his twin sister Dawn, who used to be a boy named Bruce, and Nana, who was the woman who took care of them. This was very confusing to me, but I assumed that he was, maybe, hypnotized into forgetting about his past and thinking he was a girl, or maybe the trauma of being kidnapped had something to do with it. The same might be said about his sister. They, Carol and Dawn, went to a private girls' school, and it seemed that Howard/Carol knew nothing else about himself. He did not know where he lived, no address or phone number either. That was surprising to me. I would think that an 8-year-old would know at least that. Carol and Dawn were dressed in white t-shirts and short red skirts and sitting at a card table coloring in a snow-white coloring book. I was able to get some more information. They both were looking forward to tomorrow when they would be wearing their new Easter dresses. Oh gosh, I completely forgot that this was the Easter weekend. I hung around for a while just being a passenger and looking for some more information but got nothing. I was just getting ready to meld with my own body when his nanny called them for supper and told them that they were having baked macaroni and cheese. I am partial to that, so I hung around for supper. Just after supper I was again ready to go when guess what? My favorite TV program was going on, Jeopardy! Now, I am pretty good at that show and usually get between 90 and 95 right. I thought I might have some fun. I had Carol sit in his favorite seat, next to Dawn. By the time the show was over, I had Nanny so shocked at how smart Carol was I thought she was going to pass out. I melded back home and Ron was just about to put my favorite John Wayne movie, The Searchers, in the DVD player. I fell asleep watching it. I woke up sometime during the night and turned the machine off and got into bed. It was almost 9 o'clock before I woke up that Easter morning, and it took me several minutes before I realized that I better get back to Carol and see what I could find out now that we would be going out of the house. I knew I could find out something. They were just getting dressed when I melded. Both of them were almost dressed, being in their white tights, lace-trimmed undershirts and underpants. Nanny was holding Carol's dress for him and pulled it over his head and over his body. She turned him around and buttoned the 2 buttons at the neck. I walked to the mirror to get a good look at how we looked. The dress was light pink, snug at the bodice and waist, then flared out below the waist to the knees where it ended in a lacy hem. The sleeves were short, above the elbows, and trimmed with pink lace. Wow! He looked great. By this time Dawn was finished. Nana did our hair. Since I was now in charge, I will use the personal pronoun. I was anxious to get out of the house so I could get more information on where we were. Nana handed us our purses and coats. It was a bit cold out and we needed them. As with our dresses, they were identical, as they would be for twin sisters. They were pink velour with white fur collars and white fur-trimmed cuffs. We wore large pillbox-type hats, also white fur. The coats were the same length as our dresses. We were out no more than maybe 5 minutes when I had all the information that I needed. I saw the house numbers as soon as we went outside and the street name at the corner. The first car told me what state, from the license plate, and driving down the street I saw several stores with the town name, i.e., small town deli, small town diner and such. But instead of melding back to my own body, I stayed just so I could experience the thrill of walking down the street on legs that worked. Besides, I liked the way all these clothes felt on me and the breezes blowing up my dress. Nana drove us uptown and dropped us off so we could walk the boulevard with the rest of the paraders. We met some girlfriends from class and walked with them to the end of the parade route where we met Nana, who drove us home. I waited a few minutes at the house before melding to my body, where I immediately called the hotline and gave them all they needed to know, including the fact that Howard was being raised as a girl and that there was another boy in the same position being dressed as a girl. I knew it would be quite a while before anything could be done, what with it being a Sunday and a holiday. I had dinner with my family and took a nap. It was almost 7 when I woke up. I melded back to Carol, not really expecting anything to happen because of what I mentioned before, but I was so wrong. My timing was almost perfect. I was not there more than 10 or 15 minutes when the doorbell rang. "Will one of you girls get that? My hands are full," Nana yelled from the kitchen. Dawn and I both ran to the door. I opened it and was genuinely surprised to see 2 cops standing there. I had never expected anything to happen so soon. I noticed that one of them had a picture of me, Howard, in his hand. I had no plans for this, so I just played it by ear. I pointed to the picture and said, "Hey, that's me when I was a boy." The cop just looked at me for a second. I repeated myself. He and his partner were looking at the picture and me and back at the picture again. "Is this you?" the other one said. "Yes, I'm a boy, see." I lifted my dress and pulled down my tights and panties to show him that I was indeed a boy, "And so is my sister," I said, pointing to Dawn. All hell broke loose at this time. Nana came into the living room to see who was at the door. The 2 cops entered the room and started talking on their radios. Within 10 minutes, maybe sooner, the room was full of cops, social workers, and several other assorted officials. Dawn started crying and holding on to me. We were questioned by some women who were from child welfare, then taken out to a police car. That is Dawn and I. I wanted to meld back to myself, but Dawn was clinging to me so hard I didn't want to leave him until I was sure he would be okay. I eventually let him go and went home, happy in the fact that I was responsible for the reuniting of 2 families. I am not about to be tying up a lot of loose strings here, but will say that when it hit the news, a condensed version because of their youth, I called the hotline to claim my reward. There was a reward adding to $5,000 combined for both boys. I donated it to the families for psychological treatment. There was no doubt that they would need it. I felt good about myself for several days after that.